Hello angels, I'm going to be going through some of the most popular 2025 Booktok books, mostly in the Romantasy genre, and letting you know if I think it was worth it or not worth it. So to start us off, we have Metal Slinger. You either love this book or you hate this book, and the reason why is because the plot twist is literally so insane you will not see it coming, and some people loved that plot twist and other people were so outraged by the plot twist in this that they rated it 1 star. This was a 5-star read for me. I actually had this book for 2 different book clubs, both of which had between 10 and 15 people. In my first book club, literally everyone rated it 5 stars, and in my second one, almost everyone, aside from me, rated it 1 or 2 stars. Personally, I loved this book, and I did find the slow burn romance to be extra juicy. Next up, we have Shield of Sparrows. Personally, I loved this book. I devoured it. I also love an arranged marriage trope, so it was really interesting to me. I was completely gripped. I found the monsters and the plot and the tension in this between the FMC and the MMC so juicy. I love it. There are 2 things some people struggle with in this book. The first being the world building being a bit intense in that first third. Personally, I'm a very fast reader, so I got through that first third in my first sitting. If you're a slower reader that reads 1 or 2 chapters every time you sit down to read this book, it might feel a little bit slow for you in the beginning. The other thing that some people struggled with was that there is a lot of inner dialogue of the FMC, and I didn't know that some people had an issue with this. Personally, I loved it. I loved knowing what her thoughts were, why she was confused, why she was pissed off. It really felt like we're experiencing the book through her perspective, not necessarily just our perspective. So personally, I enjoyed that. Next up, we have In the Veins of the Drowning. Would I recommend this book? Yeah. Did I love it? Kind of. It wasn't my favorite book. One thing that kind of bothers me in romantasies is when there's like this magical bond that happens between the FMC and the MMC, and the bond is always used as this way to shortcut, like, oh, we've barely spoken but we're basically in love now because of our bond. We don't need to get to know each other because we're so connected because of the bond, and that just kind of gives me the ick. It just feels like the love and the connection and the intimacy that you're trying to build is very surface level to me, and it's just shortcut because of this bond. For that reason, it wasn't my favorite, but I still will read the second book when it comes out. Next up, we have Silver Elite. A lot of people are talking about this book as being the best dystopian. I didn't think it was that dystopian. I didn't mind this book at all. I found it kind of interesting. I read it really fast. The story is very easy to get into, easy to understand, high stakes. However, the romance in this book just felt so flat for me. There were a lot of things that just felt a little bit off for me when reading this book. I just didn't connect to it too much. This is not a book that I recommend to people to read. As you know, there was a lot of hype around Fourth Wing, and then along came Diabound in 2025, which is very similar to Fourth Wing. The romance is different, but the plot is quite similar, except it's wolves. I really liked this book. I thought it was fun, gripping, intense. I was super invested, and it's also really good if you're kind of new to Romantasy as well. Even though she's thick, it's easy to read. I really like this book, and I would recommend to anyone. Next up, we have A Forbidden Alchemy. I really wanted to like this book, and I can recognize that this was a well-written book. And for a lot of people, I know that they love and adore that book. I think what kind of got me is that I was expecting a romantasy, but really this book was like a fantasy with elements of romance, in my opinion. I also found it just to be a little bit kind of flat. Every second chapter or so is like a flashback from 10 years ago, and I just kind of found it slow. Next up, we have The Wolf King. I don't know what the author is putting in this book, but it is literally addictive. This book had me literally squealing. It was so addictive. It is very classic romantasy. I absolutely love this book. And Night Prince, the second book in the series, is even better. If you haven't read this book, please read it. Next up, we have Spellcaster. There was a time where I saw this book all over my For You page and my Explore page. This book did not land for me. The only word I can use to describe my experience was cringe, because it felt so YA to me. It felt very immature, but then there were like these intense spicy scenes, and I'm like, wait, they're not 14. They're adults. They just talk and interact as though they're 14. She's very coddled by her parents and by her family. I don't know. It wasn't for me. One thing that really pissed me off about this book is that they're in a magical academy and she doesn't know what her specific power could be. And there's all these different categories of power. And the most powerful and dangerous is, of course, being a spellcaster. 60% of this book is about the suspense of what type of power she will have. I can't possibly imagine what type of power she will end up having when the book is literally called Spellcaster. It just annoyed me so much. But anyways, I'm going to let that go. Next up, we have Anathema that everyone started talking about in October spooky season, and Eldritch Book 2 also came out around Halloween. Anathema is a fantastic book, but it is what I would describe a little bit like a big brain book. Like, there's so much intensive world building at the start. It's a little bit hard to follow, but after that first third, it very much falls a bit more into like a dark gothic romantasy type of setting. However, the world building at the start is intense. Eldritch, which is book 2, is just as amazing. I would recommend your trigger warnings though, because this one you're like kicking your feet and giggling like, oh my god, are they gonna fall in love? Exciting. And then book 2 is just very dire. The whole time there's just a lot of sad shit going on, and it's just very heavy. Heavy is the word. Now, you may have seen The Ascended all over your Booktok, bookstagram, whatever. And yes, this book is worth the hype. Yes, this is 5-star. Do not let anyone fool you into thinking you do not need to read Riftborn and Duskbound before reading The Ascended. You will be robbed of a fantastic, amazing plot twist and experience if you have not read these 2 books first. This book will not have the same impact unless you have read those 2 books. Is this worth the hype? Absolutely. It's definitely in probably my top 5 favorite series ever. So get into this one for sure. Next up, we have On Wings of Blood. This is another series that personally I really enjoyed. I love academy style romantasy settings, so it kind of gives like that Fourth Wing college vibes. However, the actual plot is extremely different. The MMC is very often likened to being like Draco. So if you're a Draco fanfic fan, whatever, you will love this book probably. I found it very addictive. I really liked it, and I love the FMC as well. So yes, big recommendation from me. And finally, of course, we have 2 series continuations. We have Brimstone, the second book after Quicksilver. This book wasn't my favorite. I loved Quicksilver. Quicksilver was a 5-star for me. Brimstone was just like 10 different unfinished stories to me, wrapped up with this random ending. And then of course we have Onyx Storm, which is the 3rd book in the Imperium series, which is like Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. Onyx Storm to me was difficult to get through until the very end, where I was like, oh my god, what an amazing plot twist, what just happened? But book 2 and 3 of the series has been a little bit difficult for me to get through, so it's not my most highly recommended.